Vishnu Gururdevo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. We are in Atma Bodha, verse number 25. Last class we saw towards the end, प्रकाशोर्कस्य तोयस्य शैत्यमग्नेर्यथोष्णता स्वभावसच्चिदानन्द नित्यनिर्मलतात्मनः. Just as the luminosity is the nature of the sun, coolness of water, the heat of fire, so too the nature of the Atman is. Sabhav is what? Nitya, Nirmala. It is eternal and it is ever pure. Conscious, Sat Chit Ananda. It is existence, consciousness and bliss. That is the nature of the Atman. And in this way, we talked about it yesterday. And now, so if we are of the nature of Satchidananda, why do we behave so miserably all the time then? Complaining about everything. Why don't we experience that we are Satchidanand, we are eternal, we are ever pure? So here it says, Atmana Satchidanshascha Buddher Vrittiriti Dvayam Sanyojya cha Vivekena Janamiti pravartate. By the indiscriminative blending of the two, the existence and knowledge aspect of the self and the thought wave of the intellect, there arises the notion of I don't know. Never live in this space of I don't know. Even if you make a wrong decision, it's okay. You will correct it afterwards. But don't live in a mental space of I don't know. Get out of it. What is there? Nothing. But nothing is not nothing. I don't know. No, get out of it. Buddher vritti iti dvayam. So, buddhi and vritti. So here it is by the indiscriminate blending of the two. How it is indiscriminate blending? The nature is Atman. Atman itself is existence and Atman is itself consciousness. But what is happening right now? That is your nature. If both are same material, then what is keeping them separate? What is keeping the consciousness, which is knowledge, which is aware of its existence? What is keeping them separate as two? The thought. Thought is keeping them separate. And because of this, avivekena, because of this indiscrimination, because we have never put an effort in this direction to to come to be that unified principle, because we are continuously dwelling in the mind. As we said in one of the verses, it came that mind is nothing but duality, and this duality is the corruption in that unifying principle. Because we are using Sat Chit Anand does not mean that the self has these three qualities. No. Self doesn't have three qualities. Self exists, it ever exists. It is consciousness, it's always consciousness. These are triggers for us to think. So, I exist. And when I come to realize, when I come to know that I exist as Atman, not as a body, the result is Ananda. Ananda is that. So when we become aware of ourselves, automatically the bliss starts emanating from within. The Atman is self-effulgent, and the mind is, or the Atman is of the nature of consciousness, which is self-effulgent, and matter is of the nature of, mind is of the nature of matter. And these two are coming together. Without the illuminating power of the self, we will never come to know there is a mind. And this is happening even right now, isn't it? Be aware of it. So this is the funny thing. The truth is that consciousness, we are ever aware of the mind or the thoughts that are erupting, but something has happened somewhere. Why it has happened, don't ask. That this marriage between consciousness and matter has taken place. Consciousness is of the quality or is of the attributes of eternity, birthlessness, deathlessness, all-knowingness, self-illumination, continuous, permanent, blissful, and matter, inert, discontinuous, changing, is sometimes, not sometimes, needs a light in order to be known. Two opposing qualities. Yet marriage is taking place. And in Hindu culture, we say when the charts are getting created, astrological charts, the man and woman should be of the opposite nature. Then it becomes a whole. Isn't it? लगे रहो उसके बाद. So the other one complements. If two intellectuals come together as in marriage, then the house will be a big mess. If two dynamic people come in a house in marriage, then the house will be super clean. If two lazy people, tamasic people come into marriage together, then what will happen to that house, God only knows. See, whether you say I know or you say I don't know, both the thoughts are revealed to the mind, or we come to know this feeling only when this thought is illuminated by the light of consciousness, isn't it? Understand this. It's not the I know. You are saying I know that this is a camera. Thoughts are inert. Then who comes to know? Thoughts are inert. Do you know that just now I said I know is a thought and it is inert. Yes, you will say, I know. And do you know that this thought erupted in your mind and went away? Yes. Who knows it? That's the subject. That's the illuminating principle. And that is you. I is also a thought. I know that. All these three are thoughts. In whose light did this become revealed? If you say, I don't know, also the same thing. In whose light did it get revealed? I cannot reveal because it's coming as a thought in the mind. You are saying it, I know, isn't it? Or I don't know. So who this I represents is someone else, isn't it? Right now. Be aware of it. All night or all the time, there are waves on the waters in the ocean. But are we able to see the waves in the ocean at night? On a dark night, on a no moon night? No. When the sun comes up, immediately the waves on the ocean become revealed, isn't it? Exactly the same way. The moment in the light of the sun, we are able to know the waves. In the light of the self, we are able to know the thoughts. And when the light illuminates the thoughts, then this feeling comes that I know this or I know that, or including the I thought is come to know. We come to know. This is the basic error that we are making. We are thinking we are the thought. In fact, we are the one who is illuminating the thought. And for this, lot of undoing needs to happen. Lot of undoing needs to happen. And that undoing needs to happen not by, how do you say, you don't have to remove every thought from your mind. I am undoing my mind. No. Like he has undone everything on the top of his head. Now it's shining. Reflection perfect. He is not available. But it's an effort. Because every day he does it. So how do we do this so that in our mind the reflection is perfect? If you say, I have to undo the mind, then doing will get stuck to doing. If we have to do something, then which doing will bring about the undoing?
Step out of doing.
But you can't. The equipment can't.
No, the equipment can't. No.
Equipment can't. That it is propelled into activity all the time, and activity is waking, dream, deep sleep. This is going on continuously. You can't help that. So right now, if we say we have to undo, it implies that something has to be done to undo. Mind immediately processes it that way. Then what is that doing which will bring about a permanent undoing? Contemplation on the self. Recognizing that in the light of the self, when I am focused on the self, then alone the mind will empty itself. Because by the power of the grace, it will happen. If I try to empty the mind, I can for some time, but it will fill up again. Because when I am trying to empty the mind by some sadhana or some exercise, it is a part of the matter only. We are not invoking the higher. This process, this point, took me almost 1 year to click. I was doing pranayam and meditation. After the pranayam meditation, and I used to feel, oh, everything is over. I am in that deep silence. Everything is fine. And then I used to stop. Now nothing more to do. Nothing, no progress anymore, because now I've come to the end, and I am. That's it. What else is there? Nothing is there. So now I know. No more meditation. And then all the wrong habits will start coming back in. And after 2-3 months, I'll realize, oh my God, I have again slipped into something. First time it happened, I didn't realize. After three months, how is that possible? I was not doing all this. Now it's happening. Again I started. Again it went away. Again I stopped. Again it started. 3-4 times it happened, till I observed the pattern that I am falling into this trap, that when I am doing the sadhana, the vices leave me. When I am not doing the sadhana, they grab me. So, which means, my God, my whole life I have to keep doing like this. Whole life I have to keep sitting in meditation. Whole life I have to stop the world and come into my room and block my mind and come into through pranayam. Oh my God, this is not good. But you enjoy the state so much, isn't it? Now naturally, what is the next stage then? That I want it for 24/7. 24/7 I can't do pranayam. 24/7 I can't be sitting in meditation all the time. Then one day it came. After lot of deliberation, lot of writing, lot of contemplation, I'm looking for a permanent answer. And that time the Lord helped. He said, till now, whatever you have been doing, you have been doing. You have not offered it to me. You have not seen it as my grace. See? And from that day I stopped completely doing pranayam, this, that, everything. And I just took the name of the Lord. See? Who is Ishvara? Who is the master of Prakriti, isn't it? Who is Jiva? Who is a slave of Prakriti. But also, what else is Ishvara? Yes, on one hand, he is the master of matter, but on the other side, he is self-realized in that sense, that he knows who he essentially is. So to go to that abstract principle, because we live in a world of names and forms and ideas, our mind functions that way. It is beneficial for us if we invoke the divine. Ishvara. If I am the micro, he is of the macro. He is the boss of the macro. And on one hand, he knows himself as he is, which is Brahman. And on the other hand, he is the master of the matter. In my case, I am unaware, or the self is unknown to me, and I am a slave of the matter. Exactly opposite. And when we invoke him, what his disposition is towards the matter, towards the Prakriti, that starts getting inculcated within us. That is what devotion is. So, when we have an ideal in our life, if I have Lord Shiva ideal in my life, then it's not that I'll start growing 2 more hands. But He's an avadhuta. He is absolutely dispassionate. He is a renunciate. He is disinterested in the whole world. He is ever meditating on himself. Uh, and if you see those who are devotees of Lord Shiva puts vibhuti on his body. They will put vibhuti on the body. He wears only very scanty clothes. They will also wear scanty clothes. Those who are devotees of Narayana, they like all the opulence and all the best of everything. Automatically it starts. It's not that they are trying to copy him. Those qualities start percolating into them because of their focus on him. See? But that's not the end of it. When you are thinking about the form, in Bhagavad, I gave this meditation. Initially, you listen to the stories of the Lord, you develop love for the Lord. As your love for the Lord increases, enough of stories. Now I want only the Lord. So Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Lord Shiva is there. But the form is there. And if your mind is focused on the Lord's form, along with the name, you will go into Drishyanu with Savikalpa Samadhi. With the form will suck you in. Suck you in means it will keep your mind absolutely attracted to it because of your devotion and love, but His grace. And you become so fixated on the form of the Lord that you are unaware and you are in Savikalpa Samadhi. Samadhi with a thought. Thought of what? Thought of a form. This is the fire element. This is dharana. Then you go further. Then the second stage comes Shabdanu with Savikalpa Samadhi. What is Shabdanu with Savikalpa? After some time the form vanishes and you start meditating only on the sound. Sound is a quality of space. Space is more pervasive than the fire. Fire's quality is to have form. Space quality is sound. But how does this migration take place? When you are looking at the form of the Lord, initially 2 hands and all the things that he has in his hand, the position that he's sitting in, the moon on his forehead and the jatas, the hair and the Gangaji coming out, all this is very attractive. So you have given up the stories, or stories have left you. Now the form, you are only interested in the form of the Lord. As you become, because you are in love with Him, and as you become, the love increases, the different limbs of His body, they start becoming a distraction to you. Because your attention is not just on the form. Your attention, if the meditator is clear, he wants to merge into the Lord. He wants to go to the essence of what the Lord is. But the only tool he has is the form of the Lord. He's in love. So he's watching, and as he is watching, sometimes the attention goes on the face, sometimes on the third eye, sometimes on the snake, sometimes on the Trishul, sometimes on the Gangaji, sometimes on the arm, sometimes on the tiger skin that he's wearing. And this way, even though he's looking at the Lord, one Lord, but his attention is getting distracted by all these different pieces of information that is making the Lord, isn't it, as a form. And he starts feeling, no, I want the Lord as he is. These are all distractions. I don't want to think about this or that or that. When this type of feeling comes from inside, automatically somewhere his attention will get stuck. Either it will get stuck on the third eye, or it will get stuck on the feet of the Lord, or it will get stuck on the lips of the Lord. 2 eyes, 2 lips, 2 feet. Entry point. And he starts thinking. He's stuck there in the beautiful lips, beautiful eyes. Where's the third eye? But third eye is also there. But who is he? 2 feet are there. You are absolutely, you're not thinking that you have to find out your own approach. And you're looking at the feet, oh, I'm at his feet, and you're focused now on his feet alone, or on his lotus eyes, or on his full lips. And as you are focusing with love, with devotion, wanting to merge into him, automatically the next stage will come. What is that? These two lips are also distracting me. And how can I don't want to sometimes shift my attention to the upper lip, sometimes to the lower lip, sometimes to the upper lip, sometimes to the lower lip, sometimes to the right eye, sometimes to the left eye, sometimes to the feet, sometimes to the right feet. No. Then you start keeping your attention between the 2 feet where the joining is. You put attention where the lips are meeting. You put attention between the 2 eyes. So you are aware of both, not focusing on any single one of them, but in the middle. Here also in the middle. And the absorption takes place. Form vanishes. Then the real Shiva, Paramashiva, reveals to you. This is the science. But for that, we have to apply ourselves. So just like the sun reveals all the thoughts, similarly all these thoughts, then what will you realize? That the Shiva and me are one only. Without a thought it will be a realization. So same way, just like at night there was a veil of darkness which was stopping us from seeing the expression of the waves, exactly the same way the sun, and when the sun comes, the veil is removed. I think I gave this example. If you are in a dark room, can you have a team of volunteers, everyone with a shovel and a bucket? Can we remove the darkness out of the room? No. As much as we may try, we cannot remove the darkness. Isn't it? So by thinking we remove the darkness? Ignorance? Can we remove the ignorance by thinking? No, because thinking itself is an effect of ignorance. Catch this. We cannot remove it. We cannot undo anything by thinking. What you can do is invoke the love and faith and commitment and devotion towards the one, towards that light principle, that's self-luminous principle, the Lord or the Self. And this way, so every thought that comes in our mind is illumined by that Self, which is of the nature of illumination, and in this way understand. This mind intellect is always bathing in the light of consciousness. Always. There has never been a moment that it has not. And this mind intellect equipment keeps going through the oscillation of manifestation in the mind and unmanifestation in the mind. Right? This is what its spectrum is. Microcosm and macrocosm. This is its spectrum, but it is illumined by the conscious principle. Because if it was not, then you cannot come to know anything that has happened in your life. The fact that it is, means someone is watching over the 3 states of yours, always illumining them all the time. And in this way, recognize the whole process, the past, the present, and the ensuing future. That also will be illuminated by the Self alone. Our life is a continuous series of experiences. And these experiences are illumined by the conscious principle. And when we say series, past, present, and whatever is coming next, very next moment, isn't it? And when we say life is a series of experience, for whom? Where is this life expressing as a series? In the self? No. In the mind. In the mind. Experiences are in the mind. Recognize that this is what is happening, even at this moment. So if life is continuously throwing events, situations, experiences at us, every moment it is coming to us. It's meeting, the life is meeting us every moment. How do we have to find a way to interact with what is coming to us, isn't it? Experiences are coming, events are coming, situations are coming, and we have to find a right a response to meet how the world is coming to us. How do we find the right response? By remaining in the mind and intellect as the mind and intellect and judging what is coming to us, or surrendering the mind and intellect at the feet of the divine and allowing the divine to prompt a response for what is coming. Which will be the smarter one? If we take the previous one, we are creating more problem for ourselves. The journey will become longer. There will be challenges, there will be stresses, there will be reactions, there will be judgments, there will be stress. But when our mind is unaware, is not interested about all the experiences that are coming, but is interested in the Lord. You are aware of what the experiences are coming, how the world is coming to you. But your interest is in the Lord. Your interest is in the conscious principle. Then the ability that will come in you will be of a higher caliber. How to meet. And what is the best way to meet? If you are focused on the conscious principle, how will you meet all the experiences? Will there be a reaction? No, because conscious principle does not react. Will there be a judgment? Is it good or bad? The conscious principle doesn't make any statement. So what will become? What will be your disposition? That of equanimity. And that's the best way to meet the world. That's the best way to meet the world. With a balance. No reaction from inside. Because the experiences of the world will invoke some response or the other. Choice is yours. You don't have choice as regards what is going to come to you next. But you have a choice whether you complain, whether you take it as an opportunity, or you remain equanimous. World is the same. A pessimist complains, the world is the same, an opportunist is excited, the world is the same, a realized master is ever equanimous. So, how will we choose the right response? By contemplating on the equanimity is not something that you can bring about. It has to happen. It's when the right things, right disposition is there, then the equanimity comes about. A non-reactionary, a non-value giving disposition. You are not dividing the world into good and bad, ugly, and these are my friends, these are not my friends, rich or poor. I am a seeker and they are not seekers. I am intelligent, they are stupid. Nothing like that. Equanimous means no dialogue going in the mind. Even if the dialogue is going on in the mind, you are unaffected by the dialogue because you have come to recognize that you are the illuminating principle. Be that. Be that. Be that. And when I say this also, that be that, this is also very, it's also a limited expression. Because the moment we come to this conscious principle, right now as an individual, we feel that there is conscious principle and there is mind to be observed, to be illumined, isn't it? When we come to the conscious principle, something else will happen. You know what will happen? You will not see mind as the mind. You will not see mind as a mind. When the wave comes to the water, will it see the wave again? When the wave merges into the water, or while its expression as a wave, penny drops and it realizes, I am essentially water. Then as water, from the position of the water, is there an existence of wave? No. No. So the moment you come to the conscious principle that you are, suddenly all duality vanishes. All objectivity vanishes. Meaning the mind vanishes. Mind as an object of contemplation. Who is contemplating on the object? The I thought is witnessing the that thought. The body, breath, mind. Or gross body, causal body, subtle body, causal body. It is observing. But this whole thing is the mind only. And when you have taken the position of being the eternal witness, from this point, it is one without a second principle. You have come to the water. From the water's point, these four have got no meaning. Cannot be even, oh, but we just said that conscious principle is illuminating the mind. That was when we were in the mind. Now you have come to the position of conscious principle. From conscious principle point of view, there is nothing called mind. This every seeker has to come to realize. This is what we were talking in the Amrit Anubhav, the all-inclusiveness. Because this Atma is infinite. It is all-pervading. It is the only one. It's one without a second. Ekameva dvitiya nanasti kinchana. There is nothing else other than the conscious principle. If there was, then there will be two. If it was there, then there will be two realities. Consciousness is also reality and that matter is also reality. So that is not possible. Reality is only one. So when we come to this conscious principle, very simple exercise. Make your eyes look at themselves. All multiplicity that you see, the names and forms, they will vanish. They will vanish. Same way. If physically this is happening, mentally when the mind is focused on the conscious principle, all the multiplicity of the mind, that also vanishes. And from when you come to establish, when the mind comes to merge into the conscious principle, gets sucked into it. What was mind anyway? It was consciousness with thoughts is called mind. Now, as the mind is getting absorbed, mind is becoming free of all the thoughts. So it's coming back to its original nature. What is its original nature? Consciousness. As the wave is getting dissolved into the ocean, into the waters, it is coming closer and closer to its real nature. What is its real nature? Water. Once it becomes water, then is there any iota of waveness? Not possible. Then where's the form? Where's the beginning and end of the wave? That was through the observer who was outside. It was for the wave who was thinking it was a wave. But from the water's point of view, before the wave, the water was. During the wave, is. After the wave also water is, isn't it? So that wave was an expression within the water, of the water. That is the Leela. That is the game. So coming to the conscious principle gives us, while we are thinking in our mind, right now we feel thought is something that needs to be discarded because it takes us for a ride. It troubles us. Sometimes good thoughts, sometimes bad thoughts, sometimes past thoughts, sometimes future thoughts. But thought also, just like a wave is nothing but water before, during and after, same way thought is also nothing but consciousness before, during and after. This we don't know that right now. Right now we want to, I am not the world, I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect. Text name is Atma Bodha, knowing the self. When we are knowing the self as the self that I am, from that point of view, only the self remains, nothing else. मजेदार.
So these are concessional statements. For example, you said earlier that the witnessing or the watching of the three states actually doesn't exist because consciousness is not
From whose point of view?
from the mind.
No. From whose point of view it does not exist?
From consciousness.
Yes, it does not.
It illuminates. If it does anything in duality, it illuminates whatever's in front of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
But whatever is in front of it is existing in its own absence.
Yes.
Don't forget that part.
Yes.
So really there is nothing.
Yeah.
See? So when the sun comes, we cannot see the object unless and until the light of the sun falls on an object and reflects that object. So now the light is coming, it is falling on you, and it is reflecting off the surface of yours, and that reflection I am catching. See? And this is what is happening in the mind also. The light of consciousness is there. In the light of consciousness, the objects called thoughts, and that thought could be a decision, that thought could be an emotion, that thought could be breath, that thought could be body, that thought could be a space, air, fire, water, earth, anything. Whenever that thought comes, it gets illumined. And we come to know that this is the thought that has happened. Understand? Just like in the outside world, if the light is not there, I will not know. So in deep sleep, the light of consciousness is completely covered by the veil of ignorance. So you're not able to you are not able to know the thoughts. So are the thoughts there? They are. Don't say no.
Deep sleep.
In deep sleep, the thoughts are there, but they are unmanifest.
Oh, okay.
You are not able to see it. Are the waves there on the ocean at night? Yes, but you are not able to see it because there is no light. But the moment light comes, that which was there, which was not there, becomes revealed. Isn't it? Same thing here also. That which was not there becomes revealed in the light of the self when you wake up, in the light of the conscious principle. Either you take it from deep sleep, you woke up to waking, or you look at the total expanse of waking, dream and deep sleep. Both is the same thing. Both are being, all the three are, waking, dream and deep sleep are illumined by the consciousness. Or you can say from the in the deep sleep there was no illumination, that is at a very low, at one level of understanding, that in deep sleep there was no light, and in the waking the light of consciousness is, the veil has been removed and the light is, the sun has risen inside called the waker, and it is, and therefore we are able to cognize the thoughts because the thoughts are getting illuminated now. But continue. Ask.
When thoughts are so important in Vedanta, but why do they keep referring
No,
to
thoughts are not important in Vedanta.
words? Words.
No. Vedanta itself means the end of words, and that you are.
But the words are used to point to something.
But that's the only tool we have. You have got anything else you can point it by? Body cannot point it. Senses cannot point it. Only the thoughts can point it.
So I'm wondering why they keep referring to it as a witness.
Who?
In Vedanta, they keep referring to my essential nature as the witness.
It's okay.
But it doesn't witness anything.
As an individual who is so addicted to identifying and attaching, that's our natural disposition. I'm attached to my camera, I'm attached to my body, I'm attached to my breath, I'm attached to my emotions, I'm attached to my reactions, responses, I'm attached to my house, I'm attached to my, whatever. They are saying be detached. Being detached is witnessing. Will lead to witnessing. Witnessing is a stage, it's an interim stage. You are attached, you are detached. If you maintain this position, you are witnessing. If you maintain this position, you are witnessing. But now the next stage is that there is another fellow. That is you only. This fellow is a reflection of this one in the matter equipments. In the intellect, this fellow, the original fellow, is getting reflected as I thought. This I thought, when gets identified with the other three, he feels that the individuality is born. If he disconnects from these three, then the witnessing, this fellow realizes that he was never attached. That's what we are studying right now. That he is never attached. He is essentially the witness. When will this witness come back to his original nature? Grace. Because important thing is not to get who is Ishvara, who is ever detached, ever the witness. And who is Ishvara? Who knows what his essential nature is. Understand? We are talking about the phenomena. You can only talk about the phenomena. You cannot talk about the truth. We are only talking about the phenomena. And who talks about the phenomena? Only the individual who is bound, who wants to be liberated. He is talking about the phenomena. So, you have to first separate, recognize that this is the witness, and then you have to realize that even this subject and object, before he was identified, the subject was identified with the object, Now he is disidentified with the objects, so he is no longer a subject, he is the witness of the objects. So if he is the witness, slowly the 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 corruption of thoughts in the mind, it will settle down. As long as you are witnessing, because when does the matter equipment get momentum from? It gets momentum from when the witness gives value and attention to the matter equipment, that it is important, that it has got a purpose, that it's got a destiny, that there is something to be done in this world. Then that this is my body, this is my breath, without breath I will die, these are my thoughts, they are my memories. Immediately this fellow goes there, gets identified. And the more this fellow gives identification and value and attention to the thoughts and concepts and ideas, and the matter is all this, the matter it gets the momentum. It's like pressing the accelerator. But the moment he takes one step back, starts watching, the momentum is still on. It's like the fan. You put the switch off, no more current going in. But the movement of the fan is still there. How long will it go on? As long as, if it was on a high speed, it will go on for some time, maybe say 5 minutes, and then it will stop. If it was on low speed, it will go on for 2 minutes and then stop. You have switched off the value and attention. You have become the witness. You are the witness. The matter equipment, it will keep, the momentum is still there because lifetimes of attention has been given. But the opportunity to undo is only in this life, at this moment. So you have unclicked yourself. You have gone into neutral. And this fellow is the matter, slowly, it will keep pumping out things from wherever it is coming from the subconscious. It will keep pumping out as long as you don't give it value. So when you say that last night I had my past and childhood was coming, you gave value to it. That is not equanimity. It will reinforce. When people go to psychiatrists, they ask them questions about their trauma. They reinforce. It is not emptying the mind. Yeah.
So the mind, the I is continually referring to the three bodies.
Yes.
But there are many moments when I'm completely who I am in my nature.
Absolutely.
I got it. Yeah.
There are, and those many moments are between two thoughts.
Exactly.
Yeah. Initially. Till you come to, until the thoughts subside to a certain extent, till you come to realize, man, I am always me. Not why I am thinking that I am only between the two thoughts. When the thoughts are there, I am not. Then who's coming to know the thoughts? That's also me. But you are available to yourself between the two thoughts. So that's how it begins. So when you come across, and then the mind is in the world, this is how a master lives. So whether you take these three as body, mind, and gross body, subtle body, causal body, or you take these three as waking dreamer and deep sleeper, you are the witness. The larger position you take, you will still remain the witness. So you start with small, build up the strength, and ultimately come to realize even the three, that the knower, known, knowing, I am apart from that. Waker, waking, and a waking equipment. Dreamer, dreaming, and a dream equipment. Deep sleep and deep sleeper and deep sleep, and a sleeping equipment, which is the mind only. I am apart from all this. A thought can form in the mind only when the I interacts with matter, you see, then the knowledge takes place. Here, now, the thought, this fellow is there. The knowledge, the thought is coming of the other objects, but there is no relationship created that I know, I am seeing, I am thinking, I am knowing, I am experiencing. So how does a realized master function through? He sees without becoming the seer. He experiences without becoming the experiencer. He knows without becoming the knower. It's a self-cancelling statement. You can't work it out. You have to get there. Because everything in our knowledge is in a relationship. The I is getting related to something and taking the ownership. That I am the seer. So the I with respect to the eyes becomes the seer, and the seer, for the seer, the seen is, isn't it? For the hearer, the heard is, and ear is the equipment. For the knower, the known is, and the mind is or intellect is the equipment. See? So this relationship that is being formed is only because there is a what you call value giving. This has to be cut, and this gets cut by being equanimous. And as you initially remain equanimous, suddenly it will dawn upon you that I have never been attached to anything. Never in our life we have been attached to anything. It's only an imagination in the mind that I am attached. We have never had a past or a future. It's in our imagination there is past and future. We have never been born or will never die. It's an imagination in the mind that I was born and I am going to die. Why? I was attached to the body. I is attached to the thoughts. So past and future. So birth and death of a thought, isn't it? So this whole idea, because we have accepted sequence as reality, we have accepted the conditioning of time and space as reality. We have accepted all that has happened for whatever reason. Question is, are we going to continue that way, or are we going to break the hypnosis of this Maya and rediscover that it is essentially nothing but the divine itself?
So the master resides as the witness, unattached to the three bodies.
Unattached to the three bodies. He doesn't become anything.
Right.
See, so there is one is eternal witness. One is eternal witness. So now imagine sun is the eternal light. The sun is getting reflected in the mirror in this wall here. And the room is getting illuminated by that reflected light. That reflected light is getting attached to everything in the room. Because of me, everything is. Isn't it? That is our situation right now. So we have to first realize. First step, I am not the kitchen, I am not the walls, I am not the carpet, I am not the people, I am not the sofa. I am the light. This is coming to the Atma. That in my light everything is getting reflected. Why am I thinking that I am surviving because of all this? That my existence is because of all this. I am independent of all this. Then who am I? So first it has to come to itself. And when it comes to itself, its obsession with what it is illuminating reduces. Isn't it? And then the next question will be, then if I am of the nature of light, who am I? Then it will realize it is the original sun. Then this fellow merges. Goes back to its own essential nature. So will this reflected light, can it go back to the, I'm making this statement, will it ever go back to the sun? Will the reflected light go back to the sun? Can it? Think now. Here we are looking, because the example is very limited. We are taking a surface where the sun is reflecting. Is there any surface where the consciousness is reflecting? We are saying it's the surface of the mind, isn't it? When we say the sun is reflecting on the waters of the ocean, water is separate, sun is separate, isn't it? But here it is something different. Right now we feel, but as long as we feel in pieces, ourselves in pieces, at 5 bodies, consciousness is separate, matter is separate, then these examples are given. That is, consciousness is reflecting on the surface, on the mirror of the mind. Only to realize that mind is also nothing but consciousness. But then the question will not remain anymore. The doubts will not remain anymore. Come to the witnessing principle. This is the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga Nama. What is the field and who is the knower of the field?
But in the master, the witness collapses ultimately into its source.
Absolutely.
And remains there.
Aye? Yeah.
And
yeah.
so
Remains there means it's not remaining separate. Once the river merges into the ocean, river loses its identity. So witness is also a witness only with respect to witnessed, isn't it? But when it goes back to its source, when you take the higher position that I am the eternal witness in whose light everything is, but you cannot, it has to happen, that part. But till it happens, the duality will still continue, or witnessing will continue. Till it clicks. That, we say, I'm aware, I'm aware, I'm aware. Aware of what? People say, I'm aware of my thoughts, I'm aware of the situations, I'm very clear now. So, all these statements come when you have fallen into witnessing. Right? So, our obsession unknowingly is still the objective world. Before we were disturbed by the world, now we have become the witness of the world. Whether gross or subtle, doesn't matter. So last night you became a witness of your dream, of your whatever. Sometimes we have become a witness of empty mind. Because our obsession is still objective in nature. See? It's only by grace, sometime, and if we have studied and exposed our mind to this knowledge of Vedanta, that the witness will inquire into its own nature. Somewhere it will happen that I am focusing on this. Who is the one who is focusing? Who is the one who is aware? Who is the one who is witnessing? I am. Who is this me? Who is this I? And again we keep thinking, oh, I am this, I am that. Again we have fallen back into objectivity. And this हिंदी में बोलते हैं गुत्थी शब्दों की, this is the trap that has to be undone.
Cul-de-sac.
Huh?
I think they call it cul-de-sac in English. That you fall into, that you can't get out of.
You just keep going.
Trap.
Yeah, it's a trap, and trap of objectifying everything that is taking place, because mind immediately clicks in, and it requires a great amount of poise, patience, to be steady in that position without objectifying. Practice.
Yeah, I'm the witness of the I thought, and then the constant reference back to mind. Well, how do I go beyond this? You know,
Say again.
I'm the witness of the I thought. I'm well aware of that, but then there's this reference back to mind to go. Well, how do I get?
The mind keeps trying. How do I?
Yeah.
While that dialogue is going on, remain the witness. Don't fall back into the mind.
And pray.
And or make the mind pray. That's another way. That's another way. So whatever dialogue is coming, it is not coming from the witness. It is coming in the mind.
Yes.
And that dialogue is coming only because of the interaction between the I thought and the that thought. So if you have become aware of this, oh, I have become aware. Again the mind has taken over.
Yes.
No, but that is how it is. And finding that silence, that calm, silence does not mean silencing the mind. Silence means coming to this witness who is aware that this dialogue is taking place. And sometimes you find the gap and you are there and again the mind comes over, being absolutely aware that this is taking place. And for that, and to abide in this eternal witness or be the eternal witness, again you have to regularly do your meditation, slow down the mind, access the gap between the thoughts, be the one, in that silence, be that presence in the silence. Different ways you can put it. And the more you do this, the more it's it is always there. The more you will be aware for longer periods of time, even during the day. Because you are touching it more often in meditation. It becomes your natural disposition then. So, don't remain in an idea that the self illumines the thoughts. Just like sun cannot illumine the objects of the world. The sun we know as sunlight only when it gets refracted through the atmosphere and then it falls on the objects, and that reflected light we are observing, and then we say, I see or I know that object, isn't it? Exactly the same way. The Supreme Reality, this pure consciousness reflects in the mind, and how does it reflect in the intellect? As the reflected consciousness. And that reflected consciousness, be very attentive, that reflected consciousness as if bifurcates into two, the I thought and the that thought. Just like a white light passing through a prism, on the other side you see the 7 colors. How has it happened? It has happened. 1 has become 7. Similarly, this 1, when it passes through the medium of the conditionings or through the mind, it becomes 2. The aham vritti and the idam vritti. Aham vritti is always 1, I thought is always 1, the that thought are many. Identification between the aham and the idam precipitates into individuality. Disidentification of the aham from the idam, from the manyness, results in equanimity. If the equanimous principle or the witnessing principle remains undisturbed, unaffected, non-reactionary, non-responsive to whatever it is what you call, coexisting with, eventually it will ask the question, what is my real nature then? Aham vritti, I thought, and that thought, they are, they come almost at the same time. Not almost, they come at the same time. So you got two choices. Either you remove the I thought, that thought has got no ground to stand, because if you remove light, darkness cannot exist. If you remove darkness, light cannot exist. Both are coexisting, isn't it? If you remove husband, wife cannot exist as wife. If you remove wife, husband cannot exist as husband. Both are coexisting. Similarly, this subject and object are coexisting. If you remove the object, subject has got no purpose. The subject as a thought has got no purpose if the objective thought is not there. What will it associate with? Nothing. See? So when we are chanting the name of the Lord, we are contemplating on the truth, we are coming to a point where the I is first, it is made not to associate with anything, and then when it is slowly, all its association is dropping, whatever it is witnessing also is getting dropped one, because as long as it remains witness, the fan will eventually become still after some time. The moment the last thought stills down, the I thought is, two ways it can go. There is nothing and goes to sleep. Or, oh, I am, and goes back to its essential nature. That's the only difference between sleep and realization. Catch yourself every night. The doorway is open all the time. And it's naturally available every night and every morning when you go to sleep and when you are waking up. Naturally your mind is calm. If you can bring in yourself alertness that let the mind go to sleep, I'm going to be awake. And it will not come by wishing. It will not come by wishing. You have to consciously take charge of the thoughts and then allow them to slow down. How do you do that? Take a thought which does not lead a result. Take a thought which is like infinity, and keep thinking about what it represents, infinity. After some time, am I mad talking about infinity when I can't even know what infinity is? I can't see infinity. I cannot I can experience infinity outside, but that also I am illuminating. If I am illuminating, who is this me then? Suddenly, somewhere. But that interaction is required. Just forcing yourself not to, it will be a reaction. The moment that breaks, there will be a flood of thoughts. But when sublimation is where you take the charge, you bring out the devotion and the faith and the greatness of the thought and the what you're seeking. And then in that seeking, the thoughts get dissolved. That is the better way. Then that is not forceful. It is not as a reaction and of a frustration in life. And this conscious principle, it seems to be going, I am going through the change, I am getting old, I am getting confused, I had a dream. The self cannot have all this. It is only because we have got identified with the matter, so these statements come of the I. Where are these statements? In the mind. You are other than it at this moment. Continuing, Atmano vikriya nasti buddhir bodho na jatviti Jiva sarvamalam nyatva Nyata drashteti muhyati. How a jiva comes about, how the individualized personality, individual personality, how is it born, that is told here. Atman never does anything, and the intellect of its own accord had no capacity to experience I know. All knowledge takes place in the intellect only, no? I know. Where it happens? Intellect. But intellect is inert. How can it think? But the individuality in us delusionally thinks he is himself the seer and the knower. This is what? It is the delusion that I am a knower, I am a thinker, I am a meditator, I am a seeker, I am a healer, I am a talker, I am whatever. It is the erring personality. It is the error. Don't become anyone. Don't become anyone. Don't become a listener. Be the one in whose presence listening is taking place. Don't be the talker. Be the one in whose presence talking is happening. Who is talking? I can't be talking. Equipment is talking. This way, rediscover yourself. आत्मनो विक्रिया न अस्ति बुद्धिर्बोधो न जात्विति जीव सर्वमलम ज्ञात्वा ज्ञाता दृष्टेति मुह्यति. So just like a bulb cannot give light without the presence of electricity flowing through it, similarly, intellect cannot give the knowledge without the presence of the Atmic principle, Atman. Intellect is like the filament. Body is like the glass. The mind is the freon gas inside, or what, some gas is there inside the, or vacuum inside the bulb. Filament does not hang in the middle. Oh, excuse me. The filament begins from the top. It gets connected to the, it is the point from where the electricity comes in, and when the electricity comes in, it comes in two, anode and cathode. The two lines are there, and the filament is between the two. How does the consciousness come through? As the ahamvritti and the idamvritti. And what is the filament there? Life. The interaction between ahamvritti and idamvritti is the life that you know. So catch this, but only in extreme calmness. Will this be able? You will be able to cognize it. You will be able to see this taking place. Chant Om. As you keep chanting Om, the sound, again, it has a beginning and an end, isn't it? I am chanting. And as it moves from gross speech to subtle speech to causal speech, which is no speech, all unmanifest, somewhere along the way you will catch the whole thing. It happens, but you have to practice. Apply yourself again and again to this. But self doesn't need application. Self doesn't need application, isn't it? Self is always. But this is where we are caught up. We know we are always, but we also have a conviction that we are a thinking person, isn't it? We want everything we want to know through thoughts. Try to know without thoughts. Then you will start having a thought after some time. I think I'm going cuckoo, man. Things are not the same. What is happening to me? So in this way, we have told you already from the beginning of this text. Every day the waker is changing. Every day the waking world is changing. Every day the dreamer is changing. Every day the dream world is changing, isn't it? Do you know this? You're nodding, so which means you know. Waker cannot know it. Dreamer cannot know it. The one who nodded, or one who came to know just now, is someone else other than the waker and the dreamer. Because he is expressing right now also. He is always. Be that one. This unclicking from the mind, from the intellect, it's a grace. It will happen. If you keep at it, it will click. And the day it clicks, that's the rebirth. That's the initiation. That's sannyas. Then you cannot fall back into, because it's crystal clear after that. Now the question after that is making it firm, making it steady. So in this way, all imagination is of the jiva and not of the self. All thinking is of the individual, not of the self. All coming and going is of the individual, not of the self. All confusions, doubts, knowledge is of the individual, not of the self. All seeking is of the individual and not of the self. Has self ever fallen down into becoming a jiva? Never. Has the self fallen down to become the jiva? Never. Has that one reality ever become anything else other than being the reality? Never. But then you said that the Brahman becoming aware of its potentiality became Ishvara, then Ishvara became Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, then the 5 elements came. That is to satisfy your intellect. All this is an imagination in that one. Why we are giving this theory or these words? Because you understand only through words. We have to give you words to cancel the old words. New convictions to cancel the old convictions, new notions to cancel the old notions, and eventually these notions also will be taken away. We are changing the default setting. Default setting at the moment is I am someone, I am an individual. Don't mess with me, you don't know who I am. I am a millionaire, I am this, I am that. Change the default setting. Reformatting. So we have explained to you in one of the verses before that this I can interact only with one object at a given moment. I am seeing you. While seeing you, I cannot see him. So, seer, seen, seeing. If I want to see something else, I have to shift again the seer, seen, seeing. Similarly, just like this, one event at a time. Similarly, a thought is also appearing because the subject, the I thought, is associating with one object and a thought is getting produced in our mind. One experience is coming. With every experience, one experience is born. Experiencer is born. Between the two thoughts, what is there? Is there I as a thought? No. So I thought is being born with every experience, with every thought. But this illusion of its continuity is taken as a reality. And this illusion of continuity is called the ego. This illusion is called the ego. There is no continuity there. But the continuity of the self is continuous, it's unbroken, is superimposed on the thought. Because where will it go? This I is this I. I thought is also I, the witness is also I, and the eternal witness or the super pure consciousness is also I. But the pure consciousness is I without a thought. Witness is I thought but not attached to the object. And the I that we are attached to the object. This I thought at this moment is attached to the object. So these are the three stages. See? So right now, I have to do this, I have to do that, I'm seeing, I'm confused. So no, witness, that's the next stage. Stop living a reactionary life. Give zero value to past. Live in the present moment. Extreme alertness with everything that is going on around you. And not only one time in the morning. No, many times during the day, catch yourself. Put yourself in that position of extreme alertness, heightened awareness. That how everything is happening in your presence. That you are the witness. Everything is just taking place by itself. Breath is taking place by itself. World is moving by itself. Heart is beating by itself. Hunger is coming by itself. Be the witness of all this. With these natural processes, it's very easy to be a witness. But then that's the place where you can practice the witnessing. Then how do you become witness of everything else? How do I become the witness of the waking experience, the whole waking experience? Chant the mantra, chant Om. Contemplate deeply that I am that one who's witnessing the coming and going of the waker, dreamer and deep sleeper every day. Take that position and live as that. Don't fall down then. Let the mind go through whatever it is going through. But you don't dilute your position of being the witness of all the three states. And for that, alertness is required initially. It just doesn't happen that way. You have to be completely convinced, without a doubt within yourself, that I am that. For that, you have to sit with yourself to be convinced. Just by listening, you can be convinced. I'm not saying you can't be, but it's borrowed knowledge. It's borrowed. Something has to shift inside. As much as we are so convinced that we are this body, that much we have to become convinced that I am that one in whose presence waking and dream and deep sleep are coming and going every day. That much conviction. Right now, all our activities are guided by this identification that I am the body, isn't it? Most of them. Now see, if you become the eternal witness, if you take that position, even in your mind, that I am that, in whose presence these three are coming and going. Your disposition in the world will be very different. It will be very different. The thoughts that come out of your mind will be very different. Or it won't matter if whatever is coming out, it will not matter. See? Chalo. Now the famous example of the snake and the rope is taken to hone the point in. We'll look at it in our next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Just sit quietly for a minute or two.